Hi, I'm Riya from Irvington High School, and today I'm going to be presenting my third milestone, which for a project that was originally the smart glasses, but now is called the resistor detector. I got inspired to do this project and this milestone specifically because, as you can see, these are resistors. They're like super tiny with these super tiny color bands, like that people can barely see, and like 10% of guys are colorblind in general. So it's really difficult for a lot of people to deal with these things. They get lost really easily. I know my school's resistor organization is completely horrible. So I wanted to develop some type of technology that would help make this process easier for a lot of different professions, like specifically electrical engineers and people who work in electronics. So yeah, so this milestone is a resistor detector in two forms. So first I had to find a data set, because all these models need to be trained on different types of images. And basically these models learn by gathering many different types of images and checking what are the similarities and then outputting a result. When it sees an image, it should be able to connect it with the the images that it already has in storage. But finding data sets for resistors was really tricky. I mean, you can find data sets for like many different things like balls and all that stuff, but for like resistors, it was kind of tough. So I decided I was going to make my own. But I slowly realized that was not a good decision. For every class, you would probably need like 300 photos, and taking 300 photos on my iPhone 11's not so good camera was not a lucrative idea. And also the focus was killing me. So eventually I found this 14,000 thousand image like database that was on this website called RoboFlow that they let me download the zip, and I decided I would train that thing myself. So I downloaded the zip and I started training it on a website I think a lot of people have used. It's called Google Colab, which is kind of like its own computer. It has its own CPU and it has its own RAM. And basically, I ran a few, basically I was trying to use a model called YOLO, which is you only look once. And it's kind of like a model where it can detect, it's mainly for object detection. So I wanted to be able to draw these boundary boxes around the resistor. And so basically what I did is I trained it on Colab, but I realized two crucial things. First of all, Colab is a very janky website. So first, it only stays active for 90 minutes at a time, which means if you leave Colab for 90 minutes, it's going to completely shut down and you will lose all your files. So what I did is I opened the console and I put a code in to like make a clicker, auto clicker for every 60 seconds to keep Colab on. And then another thing is that Colab has limits. You can only run Colab for like 8 hours a day, and then if you go over it, it just immediately like just shuts down and deletes all your progress. So I realized that I was encountering these challenges over and over again, and I had to like find ways to overcome them by that auto clicker. Eventually, I trained a model on Colab, but I realized that this model was pretty bad. It took 6 hours to only train one epoch, and an epoch is like a period where you would have to train a model. And I would have to train 50 epochs for my model to be lucrative, or maybe at least minimum like 10. But it took 6 hours to train one epoch. So I realized Colab is not the right idea. So instead, what I did is I tried to go on RoboFlow, and I paid a little money to get like the weights from there. But again, it wasn't very good. So now I was stuck. So I decided that I would use the good old teachable machine. It's easy. it's simple and it's like safe. You just upload photos and it trains it for you, and you don't have to do any of that coding and stuff. And then I realized, like, I don't really have these photos. I have these 14,000 photos, but they aren't really labeled. So what I did is I had to make, there were two different files. There was something called an image file, and there was something called a TXT file. And the image file and TXT file would be linked, but they were in separate folders. But they would have the same name. One would be .jpg and one would be .txt. And what I did is I made an algorithm where it would take the first number of the TXT file and assign it to the image, and then put all the images with that number, the first number, in one folder. So then I was able to get a folder with all the images that had 18 as the first number in their label, signifying they all were the same resistor. So I could quickly drag it into Teachable Machine, which you saw that live feed was Teachable Machine. This feed, I tried YOLO again on Visual Code Studio instead of Colab. Colab was like really bad for me. And I trained only for 3 epochs, and I made a good enough. You can see that the confidence is like pretty less, but it's a good enough model to detect 5 types of resistors properly. And my future plans for this is basically I want to kind of make it the live feed more integrated. I want to create much more resistors. My live feed has 10 resistors it can detect, and my image input only has 5. So I really want to expand the horizons for the resistors. Also, my models have a little trouble detecting resistors of different color other than peach. So I'm hoping that I can solve that problem too. And I was also wanting to like maybe add some sound cues or something like that and create some type of like, yeah, so some type of thing. And maybe I'll go back to the smart glasses and create some glasses for the resistors to see stuff around. But yeah, that's basically my third milestone. Thank you.